Hey guys, I just wanted to hop in here and let you all know that if there's anything that you want me to make a video on, not just for how do you DM, but anything that I can give advice on for D&D, just general advice for players, DMs, whatever you need, feel free to ask in the comments. With that being said, enjoy the new video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Hey, what's going on, guys? I have another monster for you today. You like books? Because today we are going to get banished into the pages of a magical tome. That is, if we can't destroy it first. How do you DM the Arcanaloth? So the Arcanaloth first appeared in the Monster Manual 2 for AD&D 1st edition, where they are shown as a cloaked wolf with small horns and described as psionic creatures that rule from red iron fortresses in various lower planes. Now, something interesting about these monsters from 1st edition is that the Arcanaloths weren't originally known as Yugoloths. Yugoloths actually didn't really become a thing until later on in D&D's history. So they're actually known as just daemons. So in 2nd edition, Arcanaloths appear more hardcore and gothic. It has a pretty sweet cape, and muscles show on its arms. Look at those muscles there. They're so big. It stares back to what I assume is one of those red iron fortresses, and overall this art is peak 80s art in my opinion. The only thing about this though is that it doesn't give very book and record keeping vibes. More like a strangle and I'm gonna pummel you to death in my dungeon vibe. So in 3rd edition, the Arcanaloth gets basically the equivalent to a cameo in the art, as the other two Yugoloths are up front and the Arcanaloth is in the back with what looks like a piano. But I'm sure it isn't. It honestly looks like an album cover for a metal band that features mild piano in the background. In this art, the Arcanaloth is in yellow robes and is a lot more fuzzy looking, like a bear for some reason. But it is definitely supposed to be a wild dog or wolf or whatever they're supposed to be. Get ready for this, 4th edition doesn't have Arcanaloths. At least from what I could tell. So yeah. Hey guys, it's another 4th edition bad joke. 5th edition has a very accurate to their description Arcanaloth. This art shows the wolf or wild dog or whatever it's supposed to be, featuring prominently, and it is in purple robes and small glasses hang on the tip of its snout. It carries scrolls as well, making sure that their intelligent nature gets through the art, because scrolls make you big-brained. This Arcanaloth looks like the nerd that we all heard about in the description, and honestly, I would take his lunch money. Get ready for this, because now that WotC has changed the name, we can now call D&D 2024 D&D 5.5. Cue the angelic choir. So in 5.5e, the Arcanaloth is a bit more menacing. The robes that it wears now have teeth, and while the shiny glasses, the tiny glasses are at the end of its snout again, the creature stands with the evil magical tome that it uses to cast its vile spells out of. But the book makes it nerdy. This is probably my favorite art of them all because it represents all sides of this monster so well, and it makes sense that the bookkeeping monster would use a book to fight. Now in the lore, we all know that Arcanaloths are record keepers and negotiators. What is fun though, is that they are Yugoloths, which are the greediest of all fiends. This means that Arcanaloths can be hired into work as long as you can provide what they want. For this monster, it will require vast amounts of arcana and secrets. It is also stated that they are able to change forms at will, so even though they are mostly found in the 9 Hells bookkeeping for the Blood War, they can still be found anywhere else, even the material realm. 5.5e gives Arcanaloths a new book called the Soul Tome, which acts as a demi-plane that the fiend can bind your soul to if you are not careful. In the description, it is said that they not only take countless victims' souls, but lesser villains also get put into these tomes after beguiling them with false promises. In play, Arcanaloths are an interesting monster because they possess intelligence, which means you can do things other than fight them, so let's get into their stat block. Arcanaloths have an AC of 17 and an HP of 175. They can fly indefinitely, which is also a hover, so they cannot be knocked down. All of their abilities except dexterity is very high, and they have 3 resistances, 4 immunities, true sight, and telepathy. Sound menacing enough yet? Well, that's not all. They also get that good old fiendish restoration, if not within their home plane of Gehenna. Magic resistance, the Soul Tome, which has its own AC and HP. Yes, it can be destroyed. Multi-attack, fiendish burst with 31 average damage. The Banishing Claw, which is the Soul Tome attack. Spellcasting with Ultra Self, Detect Magic, Identify, Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, Contact Other Plane, Detect Thoughts, Dimension Door, and Mind Blank. Believe it or not, I did that all in one go. And also a bonus action teleportation. Okay, well, I didn't do that in one go. A bonus action teleportation, and the counterspell reaction. So with all of that said, how in the 9 hells do you use this creature in game? Well, let me tell you, my friends. So first, you need to come up with where this Arcanaloth is going to be. There are quite a few places that come to mind. The 9 Hells is the most obvious one. Gehenna is another option, but I like the thought of one in a place of significance within the material realm. Imagine an Arcanaloth that has been hired by devils to infiltrate and spy from within a kingdom, to find any skeletons in their closet before the devils swoop in and use that information as blackmail in order to get, someone's soul or a contract. The Arcanaloth finds someone that is close to the king and kills or binds their soul to their soul tome. It shapeshifts into that persona, and anyone that gets suspicious is met with the same fate. A worried informant notices a party of adventurers and inquires for their help. They investigate and can't seem to find anything until they stumble upon something. In this case, I will use the Soul Tome. They open the book and they can see the souls that are trapped within. Whether or not they know what is happening, they will probably get into an altercation with the Arcanaloth. So the Arcanaloth may try to talk to them. They might try to talk to the Arcanaloth. If the party can give the Arcanaloth what it wants, maybe the Arcanaloth is like, you know what? Alright, fine, yeah, I'll leave if you give me, some really cool magic stuff. But if the party's not willing to part ways with anything, combat begins. The Arcanaloth has many options and use their intellect to their advantage. Immediately, it will know the strongest and weakest members of the party and weigh the advantages of taking out each one. Making its move, the Arcanaloth should use elevation to its advantage as it can hover, rendering it basically immune to heavy-hitting melee characters, as it will choose to attack the magic users first more than likely. It will strike at range with its fiendish burst until swooping in for the final killing blow at melee, binding their souls to the Soul Tome. Let the magic users deal their first round of damage to get a feel for what spells they are going to use in this fight, and then start using the counter spell on the most aggressive one. Of course, use its teleportation when needed to stay in cover if possible. With this kind of fight, the party better hope that they know how to use any ranged weapons that cause physical damage, because if not, there is not a lot you can do against this fiend. Even by itself, it may pose a huge threat, but try to add in a few minions to spice up the ground combat and keep the melee players busy while the Arcanaloth tries to pick off the others. I think a great addition to this fight would be the animated objects from just a couple videos ago, which are magical in nature and provide plenty of variety in stat blocks to make this fight extremely puzzling and challenging. Arcanaloths are not just an enemy, they can be an adventure-ending boss if you plan them correctly. They are the kind of enemy that takes careful planning and time for the party to uncover, as they might even be too late when they do finally find out that what has been pulling the strings the whole time was the advisor to the king or even a trusted party member replaced by a sinister fiend. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll. Jeez.